It should be pushing through, Mike.
Yeah, I got it. Welcome back, everyone. It's Mike McCleary, and it's my pleasure to introduce our next panel, Software as Strategy, how the evolving tech ecosystem drives value in maritime. And actually, I'll interview Bart Kelleher. I will introduce Bart Kelleher, CEO of Chembulk Tankers, who will moderate the panel. Bart is the CEO, as I mentioned, and has worked extensively with private equity investors in the maritime industry for several years. But I think this panel will take Bart back to the days when he first came shoreside after sailing on tankers to study and work at MIT. Bart, glad to have you with us. The panel is all yours.
Thanks so much, Mike. Brings back great memories, and really pleased to be the moderator of this panel, and a panel truly comprised of such distinguished group of maritime technology leaders, which is something a little different for Marine Money. So very exciting topic. The panelists have kindly allowed me to make brief intros so we can really jump into some great content. So on our panel today, we have Ali Riaz, who's the CEO of OrbitMI, an innovative maritime software company that's been spun off from the ship owner Stena Bulk. Ali's a true tech entrepreneur. So he's been in the trenches, digitizing a number of large and regulated industries through the years prior to his engagement in the maritime sector. And we're pleased to have John Veson, founder and CEO of Veson Nautical, which is a very familiar name in the maritime industry, leading maritime software provider known for its voyage management system, IMOS, as well as other advanced capabilities. John's led the company development and growth for nearly 20 years. And we're also very pleased to have Bent-Erik Bjorkley on, and he's the Vice President of Partnerships at Kongsberg Digital. Kongsberg, another name well known to us in the maritime industry. It's a leading technology systems provider for the industrial sector, but includes maritime as well. And Kongsberg Digital specifically focuses on software offerings to harness digitalization. And Bent-Erik's been in multiple engineering and managerial roles at Kongsberg over the past 20 years as well. So I think to kick things off, we're just going to get some quick views from all the panelists. And we think about, we've seen different waves of technology evolutions in the maritime sector in the past. And in your view, what is the most singular notable driving factor now? And just for example, is it customers demanding integration and efficiency? Is it more regulatory, emission, sustainability? We hear about vast data, but how do you use and harness that vast data? AI, machine learning, et cetera. So Bent-Erik, do you want to start that one off for us?
Definitely. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for being here. The most major and significant factors I think right now is there are many, as you mentioned, but the stakeholders coming together, like the panelists that you have here, is maybe one of the more significant changes, as shipping has been working in silos and looking over their own industry and their own business in very particular ways. And I'm really happy to be part of this in the partner program that I'm leading from Kongsberg Digital side. Ali at my right side here is one of those examples where we see different stakeholders in the business coming together, all the way from the superintendents, ship owners, charterers, and then seeing how financial institutions also come into play. So I think this is something new that we see, driven by digitalization and what that data sharing enables us to do.
Great, thanks. I think that's a good lead in. Ali, to you, your view.
Well, yeah, I think there are drivers and then the enablers, right? Drivers are, we know clearly that regulatory is going to demand information coming from different silos. And we know that enablers are things like cloud computing, software as a service. And, once the fear of technology subsides and the value starts coming in, I think it's a increasing cycle that feeds itself. But right now, I think the biggest driver is volatility and regulatory. And the enabler is availability of better technologies. easier technologies.
Great, thanks. And love to hear your view as well, John.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with with everything we've heard so far. I would say from Veson's perspective, where we see a lot of the drive is from our clients. So how do you do better customer service? And what's happened with a lot of the data that's available is companies are able to figure more stuff out on their own, and so they're demanding an increase in the level of customer service from their principals, from their counterparties. And so this is, I think, partly a recognition of wanting that visibility and seeing things that spill over from the consumer space, where we're used to just being able to, sort of see where our packages are in an instant, understand demand very, very easily. And I think enterprise software has classically been pretty bad, right, in terms of usability and stuff. And these are things we had to use. And I think what we're seeing is a lot of that, really good innovation that's come from the consumer space into our industry. And I think that that's driving the demand for more services. I think the other thing is a recognition a little bit that you can't optimize in isolation. So I think both Bent and Ali talked about silos and how if information is segmented, it's hard to look at the whole picture and drive, for example, more efficiency. Because if you don't know on both ends what is the optimal arrival time, you're going to be optimizing sort of without all the right information. And so I think that this is serving to drive a little bit more of that type of collaboration and accelerating some of the new adoption of technology that we're seeing.
Great, thanks. Ali, getting into a little bit more of the detail, the offering of software as a service or SaaS, which you guys speak of in Second Nature, it's relatively new to the maritime sector. Can you highlight the value proposition there?
Absolutely. So, we are claiming that collaboration matters, right? And so let's look into why. It's all about speed. From day one, computer science was about speed. So everything we do is to help our customers make right decisions quickly. That is what software is all about. So I've seen Veson and Kongsberg make a big investment in their cloud offerings and marketplace, specifically to help the end customers win more speed. And collaboration between tech providers is also about speed, but the two main drivers that maritime market will benefit from are software as a service and collaboration. So software as a service has been a huge driver of faster time to value for end customers. And there are many benefits, about SaaS business. And that is that, it has an upfront cost. It doesn't have development risk. You can try before you buy. You pay monthly. And then the added benefit is that you're focusing your resources on exactly what John just mentioned, customer service, instead of running around with screwdrivers and trying to build systems and maintain them. And when it comes to collaboration, for an end customer, a product on-premise or software as a service, aka in the cloud, is only one part of their operational mosaic, right? Where each product is designed to deliver on a specific use case. And most products do that job very well. They're successful. And their success results in a side effect, which is that these purpose-built products create data silos. What's a data silo? A data silo is a collection of data held by one group that's really hard to get to for other groups. So think about data is organized by finance, chartering, claims, energy management, bunkering, etc., that need different information, often also same information, but also have additional specific information for their specialist work. So you can't hate on a point solution. You can't be upset with a silo. You just have to make sure that you don't, you build bridges other places. So for example, as the quantity and diversity of data grows, silos grows too. So extending the data, and that extends the data fragment challenge. So in this mosaic that I just mentioned, there are hundreds of workflows. But when a data is fragmented, it means that any workflow will require numerous logins. That's something we all live with. We log in, we log out, we move data to Excel, we have multiple screens. And in the end, when we're working with data that we have plucked from one place to another, we have data latency issues because the data is being continued to change in the original source data. And so this is all not just super annoying, but it can be detrimental to your business performance. So for information to have value, it must arrive on time. So therefore, we call silos our public enemy number one, as silos are in direct conflict with how people actually work. So we believe that the focus should be on workflows and really not on individual product silos. In order to do that, the tech companies have to collaborate, which actually means for the end customer that the initial hard work of integration between companies, it's a formidable amount of work, has been completed. And the end customer doesn't have to stitch together multiple solutions to beat their silo problems. So the work our companies are doing on integration and alignment means that a customer can avoid in-house development risk. Often they don't even have the skill set, so they have to buy it in, and then it's costly. And then with our integrations done up front, it means faster time to investment, faster time to return on investment on their tech spend. So from my personal experience, from other industries like financial services and life sciences, like you mentioned, Bart, the winners have following traits, and that's something that end customers can think about as well. That tech vendors care about the end customer ROI through powerful workflows that are beyond just their own product portfolio. Tech vendors know who they are, know thyself, as they say, and know what they do, and then they partner wholeheartedly everywhere else. And also, just because SaaS or software as a business, software as a service is new to Maritime, it's really important to really understand that it's not a half SaaS and half on-prem, that you really understand it's a purist model. If somebody asks you to download software or pay upfront fees, they're not really fully SaaS, unless you're asking them to do some exceptional work outside the product. And then the litmus test is the technology designed to integrate with other technologies, with strong application in programming interface, also known as APIs, and solid partner programs that Veson, Kongsberg, and OrbitMI all have. So I think we're in a very exciting time because the impact of connected workflows is beginning to hit the maritime industry. And so if you think about the cloud in one hand and collaboration in the other, we're going to see the importance of data grow much like the industries before us. At least I've seen that in other places where people didn't really get a lot of value, so they didn't value data. And once they got a lot of value, there was a lot more intensity and effort around it.
Great. No, that's a very good lead in to the next topic, especially as you mentioned collaboration, and as exhibited by the panelist companies. And there's a deep need to collaborate in the maritime tech ecosystem, and your companies have all embraced that. Bent Derek, maybe just expand on Kongsberg's view and evolution there.
Yeah, we've been developing software solutions for the marine industry for about 10, 15 years, building these silos because this is what we know, and we wanted to offer a product to the market. So the change that we're going through now has been drastic internally, specifically because we changed from a product view to a SaaS model, meaning that we now offer our product as a pure SaaS model. You can get a digital service offering at no upfront costs. And we are very determined that we want to compete on domain knowledge and not on exclusivity access to data, and enable the customer really to share the data with whoever they want to share it with. Kongsberg might have been perceived as a bit restrictive when it comes to access to data, but our role as a system integrator on ships through probably about 3 decades is now changing, and it's all about realizing that Kongsberg does not know how to solve all problems on a ship. We can do the operational side, but we still open up for competition, and we believe that we have strong offerings on the application side as well. But we want to share on the infrastructure and enable the customer to utilize the data where they believe they can do that best. So that's a huge shift, really, and our contribution to tear down these data silos that Ali just mentioned.
Great, and John, your views, and I know numerous examples as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think just as Bentang was saying on some of the technical side, I think we're more on the commercial side of it, and I think you have a lot of the same types of things, right? A collaboration needs a common vocabulary, right? When we create a contract and we're talking about, something is going into, Singapore, or something is going into New York, do we have a standard way of identifying the different events? So when an NOR is tendered, right now, there's still terminology that's used differently by different companies, even within one company. Sometimes, they refer to the same event as different things. And somehow this needs to be normalized. And I think we've seen it in the past with technology. People have followed either what's called cowpath paving, which is sort of figure out where things went and then make those the roads. Or do you kind of take a step back and say, look, what can we create that's new given the problem at hand? And so I do think there's opportunities for both here. And I think, AI can be used to, help translate some of these differences and sort of understand how can we promote a language? Because doing this with a standards committee or something is a lot more slow paced than just saying, look, can you apply this algorithm and understand what we're talking about? And so I think this is an exciting turn that will, both in the technical space and the commercial space, as we develop this common language, it's going to make it a lot easier to build that type of open collaboration within the industry.
Great, thanks. Our time is flying. I think so. Just to recap some of the key points, and then we'll hear what all your companies are up to as your closing thoughts. Key themes seem to be that that there is value enhancing maritime software available without any upfront costs in a pay-as-you-go model, SaaS, as we're all learning now in the industry. And this sophisticated technology is driving true integration across the maritime tech ecosystem to meet customers' needs, and whether it's regulatory, whether it's focused on efficiency and sustainability, of course, profitability for the respective fleets. And so I think the theme, and similar to the title of this panel, it's turning software into a strategic asset for the maritime industry, which is, I think, something that hasn't been thought of in the past. Would love to hear from all of you. We've got a little more than 5 minutes. Just in this rapidly developing maritime tech sector, I mean, often these panels at Marine Money end and ask for people's forward views of the market and evolution. I think things are changing really rapidly in your world. In the near term, what lies ahead for each of your companies? Maybe Ali, take that one first.
Yes, I would say three things. One is continued thought leadership around marketecture, because I think it's confusing about who does what, and in other segments, it's established what a data lake is, what a data warehouse is, what an ERP is. We collectively can actually establish, so it's easier for the end customer to figure this out. For us, continue to land more partners, grow our customer base, which is going really well, working with these partners and others. And the final is that we just embarked on our fundraise for our growth capital. That's just going to help us take this product to more partners and more customers.
Great. John?
So Veson's vision is to be the standard platform that propels maritime commerce. Our investments are continuing to be in making, and I guess we have too many acronyms already in this industry, but thinking about SaaS or software as a service and moving that to PaaS or platform as a service, where a lot of the things that are offered now as part of the platform are things that our partners can use. And we see with some of the innovation that's happening around us that you can accelerate innovation by really working closely and having more specialized firms that can build on top of something common. And so that's where we're continuing to invest.
Great. And Derek?
Yes, the efforts that we're doing now is to help our customers utilize their assets and data in the best possible way. To do this, we're building scale, because the only way to make software sustainable is to have a large platform to scale it on. So we're working with all kinds of stakeholders to create standards, and we would like to establish a standardized way of offering that data stream. Ultimately, when we do this, creating these standard data streams and asset structures, you will get access to a lot of data. And if you look at AIS, for instance, which is a single data set of where the ship is and how that has made the industry change, just giving access to where the ship is in a given time. And you multiply that with all the sensors that is available on the ship, driving new business models, for instance, because that's what you can do when you have access to data. So I'm really proud to be part of this team that now builds for scale, and we really have a full management backing. And like you said, John, getting a full attention with management in all different parts of the industry to drive this change is essential for the success of the industry as a whole.
Great. No, thanks. I think we got a couple minutes. We've run very well to schedule. Ali, maybe just going back to experience in other industries and when they digitized, some key lessons learned and things then that maybe the maritime industry can, front run and don't have to go through when we deal with regulation and the path to digitalization.
I was just thinking that, I'm sitting here with the Kongsberg and Veson, who have market leaders, huge names in maritime, and OrbitMI is a year old. Actually, it's been functioning since 2017, but from a commercial perspective. And it takes smart market leaders to collaborate with others, right? So it just that shows you that there's a lot of good stuff that's going to happen in the industry. The other thing is that sometimes, Bent Erik said something about, I've spent 15 years building these silos. That's good. That's what needed to be done. Each of these specific point solutions were developed to do a task that was hugely manual or impossible or very difficult before. So we don't have to get mad about the silos we have. They were built for a reason. We just have to kind of make them talk to other silos and create an overlay above it that's useful. So it's a very natural curve of evolution, and it causes a lot of sometimes confusion, but it's very normal what we're seeing here. And we'll get to the other side where people are spending more time on, like John mentioned, customer service than finding out what data is correct and what data is not correct.
Great, thanks. I see Mike appearing. So.
Great job, Bart, with the panel. It was super interesting, and thank you, all the panelists. Bart, when you started, you said this was not necessarily the typical Marine Money panel, and I think that's right. And I would say that we've just experienced and heard from our audience that there's a keen interest and kind of hunger for this. So I'm sure it won't be the last. It's very exciting what you all are doing and the contribution that you're making. And, we'll look forward to seeing the continued ascent of all these platforms and companies. So thank you all very much for your participation today. And next up, I should say, vessel retrofits, quantifying, monetizing, sharing, and financing the benefits, which will start in 5 minutes and be led by Michael Parker, chairman of the Poseidon Principles Association. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you.